Hey guys, it's Charlie Kacee Turbos. I know I'm on camera a lot, but today I've got my lovely wife Kacee here with me. Today we're going to talk about what Kacee drives. This is Kacee of Kacee Turbos. She is the boss around here. Everybody knows it. Today we're going to talk about what Kacee drives. Years ago, it was a 2003 Toyota 4Runner, right?
Yep.
Needed a power stroke, wanted a truck, newer, nicer. Decided to get a
2011 F250. Yeah, 6.7. Then you kept stealing it from me for R&D. And to haul the race truck everywhere.
Yeah, that's the only truck that could haul something across country. I think we bought it with 180,000 miles.
I am a truck girl through and through. Even when we first started dating, I had a little dinky gas Ford truck, and Charlie actually hated it.
Hated that truck. It was a 5.4 Triton, and it always had some sort of electrical issue, mass airflow sensor, or was it the coil packs, or changed all the coil packs and spark plugs and all the sensors. Just constantly had a light. It just would never go away. Hated it. Like the truck, just hated that it had problems with it. Yeah. The 5.4 is a turd too. It's just horrible gas mileage, no power. So.
But I've just always been a truck girl, and I just love trucks. And then he forced me to sell it when we got married.
Forced you.
Yeah.
We've been through a few. We've had the 4Runner for a while. That was a pretty good vehicle, but family was growing, getting bigger. You wanted a truck. So we got the 2011 F250. It was a 6.7 crew cab short bed black. So after driving that for a while, we stealing it, R&D, bigger turbos. I think we put a bigger fuel pump on it. We put the trans in it once. We used it a lot for work. And she's like, look, I want my own vehicle.
I was tired of sharing.
And we were having more kids. We have 2 at the time, eventually 3. And she wanted more room. 4Runner wasn't big enough. Tired of me stealing her truck. She was gonna get another truck, but I don't know if I convinced her, but
you definitely convinced me.
Yeah. I told the Excursion was the way to go. The ultimate mommy mobile.
Has the same truck axle and all that kind of stuff. It wasn't a truck.
Yeah, I think it's like a truck frame, truck axles, engine, transmission. But you get the SUV, the extra room, the extra seats. Road trips. It was great. So we sought out an Excursion. The first one we found, we bought from Chris Rollins, I believe. It was broken down, 2-wheel drive, needed a ton of work, and I had this huge plan. We were going to 4-wheel drive swap it. It's amazing suspension. We're going to build the whole engine and trans. And we had so many projects going around, we never got around to it.
Too many projects.
It's still sitting out there, actually.
It is.
Yeah.
Years later, 3 years later?
Gosh, it's probably 5, but.
Okay, yeah.
Anyways, but my buddy Blair, he had a super sweet Excursion, 2005, black, last year of it, super good condition. He bought a ton of stuff from us, put a lot of work into it, studded the motor, Kacee Stage 2, 190/30s, put a torque converter in it.
It was the OG Kacee Stage 2.
Yeah, I think it was going on 7 years old, and he loved the thing, but his kids were getting older, they didn't use it much, so we decided to buy that from him and, kind of started the Excursion project. It was already set up pretty nice, but we, wanted to make it a little nicer, a little faster, updated some newer parts.
So one thing that I would like to change about this is the backup camera. I would love to add a backup camera. I like to have my camera. Okay, I like to be able to see everything around me. I would also like to change out the radio. It's got so much space in the very back. You can fit all the camping stuff in it. You got the top hatch, easily opens. Same with the sides. And then you've got all this ample room in the back, especially with the baby. We've got the stroller back there. We've got all the camping chairs. We've got a couple bat bags for their baseball and all that kind of stuff. And when we go camping, if we need more space, we can also fold down the back seat. It actually folds down one section of the seat, and then we can have even more space and still have some seating space as well, which is really nice. We can also extend this even further. So instead of it just being this, so if we're ever getting something that's a little bit wider in.
Also, she said.
pretty nice. It hauls a trailer really nice. One of the things that I instantly did not like about the Excursion were the seats. It came with tan interior, and I'm not a fan of tan interior. It kind of reminds me of like an old grandpa.
We wanted black seats and they were tan.
Yeah.
So we did black seats, which looked really nice.
Did.
Switched out the dash cover actually because I think it was tan and you wanted black.
Yeah. Once you go black, you never go back. So.
Morgan always says.
Going from the 6.7 to this, well, backing up, the 6.7, I don't know if you know, but mine was a 2011 and it had a bajillion cup holders.
Charlie had the great idea, well, let's just take that center console and put it in the Excursion. And so we did that, and
It
then
gives plenty of room for all the sippy cups and the bottles, and then her drink, and then my drink, and especially on a road trip, there's just cups everywhere.
exactly, yeah, our little snacks hidden everywhere. And then the center console is so deep. Like, there's a lot of center consoles that are like super narrow, and it held a lot of step.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite upgrades, the 6.7 center console and those older trucks. Just makes a huge difference. Some people do the 6.4, but I like the 6.7 way better. Just the height of it felt better. There's 6 cup holders, 4 in the front, 2 in the back. It just makes a huge difference. But the outside too, it really mattered what it looked like because the factory Excursion tires are kind of small, made it look kind of dinky.
Yeah.
It came stock. There was nothing fancy about it. And when you looked at it, you're like, oh, it's just another Excursion. Put just a little bit of a lift on there. Charlie and I both were kind of like, it'd be nice to have just a little bit. Just a little bit. Maybe just the tip.
So we put a little bit of a lift on it, and then we put larger tires on it, and it just looked beefier and nicer.
We looked into everything on what we should do, and a lot of people put stiffer springs in there, taller springs in there, or they'll switch to F250 leaf springs. And she really liked the way the Excursion rose. So, taking the Excursion for a test spin, try out the new suspension. We talked a lot about options, maybe doing a nice Carly lift, maybe some deeper springs in the back. After talking to Kacee and what she wanted, she liked the ride she had. She doesn't plan to go off-roading. She doesn't do a lot of towing. She just wanted a little bit of a lift to fit some 35s on there. So we did a leveling kit up front and a 1-inch lift in the back. And actually it turned out great. The Excursion rides fantastic. It rides smooth. It's got all the clearance it needs for the wheels and tires that she wanted. It does have a little bit of that Excursion sway. If you've ever driven Excursion with stock springs, they do have a little bit of a sway to it. They're very soft springs. They're not great for towing or off-roading. For just driving around in the mommy mobile, hauling the kids, it's exactly what she wanted. So we did put airbags in the back to stiffen up the suspension for when she does tow. Other than that, the thing rides fantastic. Instead of what we did, what a lot of people recommend are putting the F250 springs in the front and back, and that does lift it, but it also stiffens it up a little bit, which I've heard some people love. They said it feels more stable to them, but Kacee did not want stiffer suspension. She likes the smooth ride of the soft Excursion springs, and that's why we opted to keep them. The Excursion rode great. I mean, it was super smooth. For being leaf sprung, we contemplated coil spring swapping it, doing a big fancy suspension, but she said, look, it drives nice. It rides nice. I just want 35s and a little bit of a lift. The only downside of the setup, I would say, is the bigger 35-inch tires. You can feel them a little bit at freeway speeds. They're not mud terrain, they are all-terrain, and they're not actually very noisy, but you can feel them just a little bit. A little slight vibration or maybe a little bit more road noise in them, but overall, they ride really well.
So, one of the nice things about the Excursion right now is that it's got some pretty decent bottom end power. If the kids ever need to hurry up and get home or anything like that, then you at least have that quick spool up to get going.
She wanted like a 700 horsepower daily driver that towed fast, ran clean, no smoke. That was the goal. And we set out, we started testing a few turbos on it, testing injectors on it, and we really quickly needed a fuel system. So we went with the AirDog, it's one of my favorites. It's got the AirDog 5G on it now, super quiet, runs great, comes with everything, easy to install, so it was a pretty simple choice on that.
We never have any issues with any of the AirDogs.
Yeah.
It's really good.
So it had 190/30s in there from Warren, but they were like 7 years old, and we wanted more power, and so we decided to go compounds. So all are from O-Dog, but he has a compound kit on him.
The first compound kit.
Yeah, I think that was one of his first ones. He makes a ton of compound kits, but he made like the first production kit to base all the rest off of. Actually was on the Excursion. So we played a lot with turbo sizes on it. We did a stock 475, stage 2 480. We even did a VT 365 turbo, which are teeny tiny.
Is that the one that goes on a bus?
Yep, it goes off, like comes off of a bus. Those spooled really fast, but they come with smaller bearings and just kept eating through the bearings. We eventually put bigger injectors in because the 190-30s we said were tired. We went up to 205-75s with plans to maybe go to 250-100s, but with the 205-75s, it just added a ton more lag and smoke after that. And everyone online says, you just got to tune it. Well, trust me, we tuned it. We tried everybody's tunes. I live tuned it. I ordered tunes from everyone. But the 75% nozzle, it just lost a lot of its low-end grunt. Or if you turned it up, it would just smoke like crazy. And we just didn't like that. Wanted to be run clean and spool fast. So we spent a lot of time on the turbos and the tuning with the 205-75s. And for what she wanted, it just was a little too much for her.
I do a lot of stop and go driving, just taking the kids to school or coming into the office, and there's no reason for moving the power band up too much, but it's also nice whenever you get on the freeway and you have the top end power when you need it, but I mostly need that bottom end power.
Yeah, picking the kids up from school, going to work, driving around town, mostly stop and go traffic, but the bigger the injectors, the bigger the turbos we go, it just became a lot less fun to drive.
Yep.
So I think she liked it. With 190-30s and just the stage 2, she liked that setup better than the 205-75s and the compounds. It just, you couldn't get the spool fast enough off the line to make it as fun as it was with the 190-30s in the stage 2. So we eventually ended up back in the 190-30s, and it just totally, right off the bat, first tune, 190-30s in there, spooled faster, ran cleaner, and ran great. Now, we were pushing over 700 horsepower with 205-75s, but the 190-30s were like 650, 600 to 650, depending on the tune. We've seen 675 out of it, but it starts to drop oil pressure.
It's very low. We kept it really clean on the low end. She wanted no smoke, quick spool up, lots of power, and cool EGTs. So it looks kind of weird for typical diesel dyno graphs. You typically don't see horsepower continue to climb with a flat torque curve. It's because we pulled a lot of fuel out of the bottom, so it just ran super clean.
The Excursion is super reliable. We had very few issues with it. We did have a few trans issues and convert issues. There was that time we're up in the snow. We'd gone up north camping with the family, not camping, to the cabin, Rob's cabin,
Glamping.
with the family, glamping. And a huge snowstorm came in. It blocked off all the roads, in and out. And people from Arizona don't know how to drive in the snow. So there was people trying to go down the mountain in the snow, spinning out, getting stuck in snowbanks, and people were literally posting on Facebook, "We're stranded, help, come get us." Nowhere to sleep, nowhere to stay. It was super cold. And so we went out on the Excursion, and we were pulling people out, having to put on their snow chains, giving people rides, and then we broke down. Broke the transmission. They said, the whole bottom of the Excursion was snowpacked. When it got underneath it to look at the trans, you couldn't see the drive shafts, the engine, the transmission, nothing. It was fully snowpacked. And something happened. They said it was electrical, but we have had a few trans issues in there.
Yeah.
But the main thing that you complained about the whole time was the air conditioning. As long as below 105, AC seemed to work. Once it gets up 110 to 115, you let that truck sit out there all day long, that big giant black Excursion with all the volume on the inside, AC just would not cool it down.
Yeah. Even driving to Phoenix and coming back, which is a good hour drive each way, I think it finally cooled down all the way back.
Well, once we did the blue wire mod on it to kick that fan on, and we added an additional electrical fan on. Once we did those, as long as you were driving for a few minutes, it seemed to be fine. It would cool down, but you couldn't let it sit there and idle cool down. It just wouldn't cool. We went through the whole system, compressor, changed everything, condenser, evaporator, added new fans. I think it's just when it's 115 out and it bakes to 160 in the cab, it just can't overcome that. It's too hot. The high pressure would just get too high and it'd blow off. This you had the blue wire mod on and the electric fan on, then it would help. But that was the big thing. Is in the summertime, it just wouldn't cool down.
Yeah.
Someone needs to make something better for that.
Agreed.
I know not many people have to suffer through 115 to 120 degrees for 3 months at a time. That might be just an Arizona thing, but other than that, 9 months out of the year, the AC was good. But in the summertime, we just dread getting up to go somewhere. You go to baseball, you drive for 10 minutes, park for an hour, you switch over to the soccer game, drive for minutes, sit for an hour. Then you go to lunch, drive for minutes, 5 minutes, sit for an hour, and it just sucked.
we were often late to a lot of things because Charlie would try to drive around finding shade anywhere that he possibly could.
There were some trees in the neighborhood where I'd go start the excursion and drive down the street, park in the shade for, 5-10 minutes before we left.
Yeah. Or go four-wheeling into random little dirt lots because there was a tree in the middle of the dirt lot and he would park it underneath the
Yeah, when you went to the store, it didn't matter how close you parked, it was where the tree was that had
Yep.
shade. Even at church, we parked like in the middle, not in the parking lot with parking spaces, but middle of the parking lot. There's a tree, that's where I'm parking.
Oh, the only other thing is the excursion is for sale now. Feel free to come get it.
Imitate your wedding kiss. Go.
What was our wedding kiss like?
It's just a regular normal kiss. You want to imitate the funny kiss,
No, not our first kiss.
not the first kiss. What about before that? Man, you were wanting me bad, if I remember correctly. And I told you I thought there would be fireworks the first time that we ever kissed. And I remember we were driving and we were going up over a little pass and down the other side, so we're facing downhill a little bit, and there was fireworks off in the distance. And she looks at me and she goes, "Babe, look, there's fireworks!" And she just lunged across the seat to kiss me, and her seatbelt off. And so she was like, and I'm just laughing at her. She's like puckered up, leaning forward, trying to squeeze a little kiss out of me, and I'm just laughing. So that wasn't necessarily our first kiss, but that was.
It was the first kiss night. Like, I think it was right after you did legit give me a kiss. After I gave you the ultimatum, like, you better freaking kiss me within the next 2 weeks, otherwise we're done.
Okay, after she got uncaught from her seatbelt, let's see that kiss.
Well, look.
Really like that shirt.
I almost put that shirt on.
I actually wore this Monday. I didn't even wash it. I had to pull it out of the dirty can.
Oh,
Anybody smells in here? It's Kacee.